Great. So we're post Pesach. We're going to continue our learning. It's Lamed Nisan. It's Rosh Chodesh Iyar, Rosh Chodesh Tov. Everyone, we're on the 29th of April, corresponding, and we're coming back after the Bein Hazmanim, as they call it. So we're ready to learn some more about what Rebbe Nachman says is the most important thing that a person can do in growing and developing, and whatever other efforts the person may be taking, they will not nearly be as successful unless they do this service with it of Hitbodedut. So we're holding in Torah, or I'm sorry, not Torah, but paragraph, section, chapter 94, Tzadik Daled. And we're learning tonight that please, in the merit of this learning, Hashem should send healing to Chaya Bat Bea and to Ephraim Yisrael ben Osnat, as well as freeing Ephraim Yisrael ben Osnat from the imprisonment, that along with Jonathan Pollard and anybody else who's imprisoned, whether it be physically or emotionally or spiritually, and of course Shlomo Rabashkin. And we should see good things, and may Hashem's justice show in the world instead of this evil distortions of justice. So Areinu Mikasher Atzmi b'limud Torah zeh lekol tzadikim hamitim shebedorenu lekol tzadikim hamitim shochnei afar kedoshim asher b'atzem prat Rabbeinu Kadosh tzadik yisod olam nachan v'mekor chochma Rebbe Nachman Fegin Nachman Yuman Zuchsam Yigel lekol Yisrael. Amen. So Torah section chapter 94 Tzadik Daled says like this: Kol harotzeh lageshes el hakodesh lizkoz lizkarev l'Hashem Yisbarach. Everyone who wants to draw near to holiness, to merit, to draw close to Hashem. Ha'ikar leharbois b'tfilah beno levein kono. Everything else is secondary to the main thing, which is to increase the amount of prayer, the amount of praying you do, the amount of talking you do between yourself about your life, about how much you want to come close. Now, this is not anything new. We've been learning this and we've been hearing this idea all through. So the way that this sefer works, for anybody who's not looked at Hishtapchut HaNefesh, the scene, and certainly somebody who's joining us now as we're already getting to the end of the sefer. So you'll see that the way this is built is it builds upon itself, because it's a simple idea, but there's a lot of different things that you want to keep in mind in applying this simple idea. The simple idea being, it's very important to talk to Hashem, right? But each time we've been learning another piece to add into the awareness package that we want to hold, what I call a confluence of foci, a number of different awarenesses together in order to merit, to access the channels of Hitbodedut. So we've already seen that he says the main thing, and also to hear it over and over again, because it's something that we have to get used to. It's something that we're not used to praying. We're not used to thinking about talking to Hashem about everything that's going on in our lives. So when we hear this over and over and over, we have to put aside the jaded part that says, again, I already know. And we have to understand that, yes, I may already know up here, but do I know it here? Have I heard it enough times so that it's penetrated to my heart to the point where it is a normal part of the way I live my life? And that comes from hearing it again and again. Now we've talked a little bit about this. We're going to go deeper into this right now. But this is itself, just the idea of talking to Hashem itself can be very heavy on a person. And it seems to him that he doesn't have any words at all, and he doesn't know what to start with to speak. And anybody who's ever tried to do Hitbodedut has certainly come across this experience. Because there's a feeling of heaviness that comes down, that comes up on a person, and there's resistance. And so even though you may have all sorts of things that you need to talk about, that you want to talk about with Hashem, you over and over have to bring yourself to the understanding that just because I want to talk to Hashem, those words are not necessarily going to be there. So what am I supposed to do? Do I give up? Do I walk away? Do I not make the prayer? Do I not do what it is that I really need to do to get to the next level of my existence? Do I let it go day after day until my life is over and I never went anywhere because I let the heaviness push me away? So it seems like he doesn't have any words. And a lot of times, he says, most of the time, it seems like his heart isn't with him. And if he does speak any words at all, they also are without any type of arousal in the heart. Right? So he's sitting there, Hashem, I want to come close to you. Please bring me close to you. Right? But what about if a person really thinks about it and is connected, how we want to pray is, Hashem, I want to come close to you. And that's not even doing a real full one. Like we want to be able to get to the point where we're feeling the pain of our distance from Hashem to the point where we're literally crying. And we're speaking what we're going to see. It talks about the words like burning coals. But at first, that's not going to happen. Therefore, in the beginning, you have to just stand there like a mute. Rather, you should sit there and just have in your heart and think about it. Put it in your mind. I want to speak. You're silent. You're not saying words. You're thinking them. You're just waiting. I am here. These are thoughts. I'm here. I want words. I have so much to say. I wish I had words. I wish I had words. And over, just hold that as a feeling in your heart. And it hurts. And we have to know that is the work is going through anything. This world is built this way. It works in every single realm. That in order to get somewhere, you have to go through some sort of pain or discomfort. Right? So we shouldn't be surprised that we find that it hurts. We have to go through some pain in order to get ourselves to have this growth in spirituality. Right? So he's yearning and he's expecting and he's raising his eyes up to the heights and begging Hashem with his eyes, with his yearning. That he should bring upon him and influence him with hot words like burning coals. And he asked, and I'll have a clear understanding, a clear awareness of himself in his life. Yishuv means to be settled in one's thoughts and awareness. So that's what happens when we. So this is a very beautiful thing. So that's what we want. We want to be able to talk words, and anybody who's ever experienced this experience of actually getting words of like burning coals, had that sometimes? Have you experienced words of burning coals yet? Nobody knows who you are. Not yet. Okay. So I'm telling you, it is so good. It is so delicious. And I don't even know. I'm sure I haven't even really experienced the real thing. But everybody I know who has experienced something that it's the type of thing when you see this phrase, words like burning coals. Well, if you haven't experienced, you will not know what that means. But anybody who's seen this phrase and has experienced something like it, it's an amazing, amazing experience. So how do you get to that? You got to sit there and wait for it and grow and expect it and long for it and yearn for it and believe in it that Hashem wants to give you those words. But He's just waiting until you've waited enough before Him, until you sat before Him enough and demonstrated the patience that it takes to have a relationship, because that's what it is. People who want to have intimate relationship with a spouse, There's absolutely no way to have true intimacy unless you have this ability to sit there with that person and not necessarily be able to speak, or have that you want to speak, but it's not time yet. But you have to be able to learn how to be sensitive to the ability to wait it. And if people have this attitude, it has to be now. I've seen people, Rahman Hashem Yerachem, and should forgive me, when I was married, I did this too. Like, it has to be now. We have to talk about this now. Right? No. Sometimes, and so the same thing, Hashem gives us this relationship. He says, we're coming. I want to talk to you now. And Hashem says, not yet. So then the relationship is, do I sit there and stay there and wait and yearn for words, or do I say, it's just not working for me. I'm out of here. Hey, okay, so when a person does this, and he hopes and he wants and he's learning that Hashem is going to send him these words of like hot coals, and settle his mind, and to be able to know with clarity and be able to see clearly where he is in the world and where he's made his mistakes and how he's leading. And at that clarity-filled place, then a person knows the greatness of the compassion, the pity that's on his soul. That became so far away from his Father in heaven. Now, this is very important. We talked about this before. This is the way, he's explaining a way of service. So I don't want to feel how far away I am. No, that's how you're going to come closer. But I don't like it. I don't like that I'm far away. I don't want to admit, I'm doing a good job. I'm trying. Okay, that's true. And that is an important thing to focus on, as long as you're not certain and clear that Hashem loves you and He's giving you this this is a service, right? It's not, the purpose of feeling far away from Hashem is not so that we're on to be on a personal guilt trip and masochistic on myself. The purpose of feeling far away from Hashem is that it is that experience itself that provides the foundation for the going up that Hashem reasons. When we let ourselves open our heart into our pain of yearning, that becomes like the bowstring that we pull back, and then the arrow gets shot further and more effectively. So if we're sitting and we start, we're learning something, and we're here, and we find ourselves hearing something, and the light's coming up, and maybe sometimes we start falling asleep. So then we have to start silently screaming to Hashem and ask Him, I want this, Hashem. The reason, and that we think much faster than we speak. So while I'm speaking, if somebody's falling asleep, and this is what I've done when I've been falling asleep sometimes, and if I'm learning Torah, and if my mind's in the right place, and I'm not saying I've always done it, but to start silently screaming to Hashem and praying in my mind, Hashem, I want this. I want to learn this. I want to be able to do this. I love you. I want to love you. These are the things. I don't want to fall asleep, please, and groan a little bit, very quietly to yourself, to Hashem. And that will help a lot, and you'll start seeing things open up. Bezrat Hashem. So we have to let ourselves feel and understand. So again, if a person's really down and you're going to get in depression, and he's going to say this actually in a little bit, we're going to get to it. If a person's depressed, then they have to focus on only the good points. And if the person tends to depression, they can't do this yet. But we have to know that a healthy person can do this. And a healthy person says, even if he's the greatest guy in the world and he's really a mamish, like learning 25 hours a day and davening 26 hours a day, and he's like, but compared to the infinite perfection of Hashem, he's very far away. And the value is in feeling that distance in the heart, because that is what creates the feeling of yearning. And yearning is the place of Ratzon. And Ratzon in my heart hooks up with the supernal Ratzon, which is the pinnacle of unity, and that's how we get lifted up and transformed. And he says it right now, we're just talking about. And he says, even though, nevertheless, a person needs to search out and find for himself his good points. That he has still good points. And he also has to know that there's a power and a merit of the true tzaddikim, hanishan alehem, that he has the ability to lean on them. That this power and merit of the tzaddikim, even though I'm very far away, I can be lifted up through the merit and the power of the tzaddikim. So we're not talking about a person who dives into a place I'm so far away there's no hope. God forbid. No, we're talking about a person who knows that there's always hope, that there's the tzaddikim, that he himself has good points still that are still absolutely full of beautiful godliness, right? And then with that, this keeping that place, then he also has to let himself feel this distance of how far he is. As we said, so this he has to hold on to the knowledge about the good points in the tzaddikim, such that he doesn't come into, God forbid, despair. And but before Hashem, he has to stand like a beggar, and like a broken down poor person, and like a mute, lo yiftach piv, did not open his mouth, and to stand there or to sit there. But it's good, like if you go out in the forest or in a park, go find the tree and just stand there and look and turn your eyes. Looking up to heaven is very powerful, and it helps a lot in doing this. Turning the eyes up and looking up. If you close your eyes and look up, or opening your eyes up, looking at the sky is very powerful for this. To stand and to hope and to yearn, sheyashpia lo Hashem yisbarach diburim chamim, that Hashem will influence him and send him hot words, fiery words, in order that he should draw on himself the holiness of the Torah. That he hopes, that he's yearning, that he wants from now on, Hashem, I want so much from now on to keep the words of the Torah. And again, remember, we're saying that these are thoughts at this point. You didn't even say the words yet. You're just hoping. These are the types of things that we want to do. The life slips by, right? How much time do I have left in this life? And I've only got a few minutes. Who knows? And I'm wasting my time. So my ability to refine my use of time is limited. I can try, and I'll reach a certain level of structuring and using it according to my efforts. That's true. But nevertheless, it's still going to be limited. So if I realize that, and I tell Hashem, I'm before Hashem, I don't want to waste my time. I want to use the precious time to do right before you, to come closer, to learn your holy Torah. Your holy Torah, it's so beautiful and it's so amazing. Why should I waste my time with the foolishness of this world? Those are the types of things that I want to sit with in my thoughts when I'm yearning for words. And through this holding, just letting the thoughts keep going. Hashem, I want you, I want your Torah, I want to be a better person, I want to be proper, be whole, whatever, all the different things what do you want? What do you really want? If you don't know what you want, the very least you know is that you want to have some sort of a wholeness about yourself. Everybody wants that. I want to be a better person. I want to be more popular. Whatever it is that you're missing, hold that, and yearn to Hashem. Thinking about your Creator, that He's right with you. He's right with you now, and He could give you anything. Hashem, I know you can give me this anytime you want, and I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting, and I believe in you. And you're my Father, and I believe in you, and I'm waiting, and I'm hoping, and I'm praying, and I'm hoping you're going to look at how much pain I'm in here, sitting, wishing that I had words. And I'm hoping and praying that you're going to give me those words. And so then he reaches that place, and that's when it opens up. And you have to understand this happens. This does happen. Try it. Don't let yourself be pushed away. The reason you feel pushed away is because it's so powerful that the forces that oppose this do not want you to start doing this. So do not let that get in the way of you. Try it over and over. You'll see the most amazing, wonderful, delicious party with Hashem is when these words happen. And the aspect of Lamti Dumia Hechsheti Mitov, so David Melech said that I was like a mute in silence, and I was silenced from good. And then the continuation of Al Yidei Zeh, by doing this, he wasn't David Melech. Rebbe Nachman is not saying here that David Melech was saying complaining. He was acknowledging. He said, "I'm being silent before you, Hashem. I am far from good. I'm silent from the ability to speak, to express words about your goodness. I don't feel good. I don't feel the connection of your good." That's what he was holding that in silence, right? He didn't say those words. That's what he's doing. And then from this, sitting before Hashem, Cham libi bekirbi behagigi tiv'ar esh dibarti b'lashoni. My heart became inflamed inside of me. My thoughts, my contemplations began to burn like fire, and I spoke with my tongue. And again, this is my experience. This is what happens when I have followed this advice. It's an amazing. I can't tell you enough, even if I say it over and over, how much I encourage you to follow these pieces of advice. And this is the aspect of the word that is used in Yechezkel, in the vision of the chariot, is chashmal, translated in modern Hebrew it's electricity. And Shadarshu said that this word chashmal, it's a type of angelic or a vibrance of light that happens in the upper realms. And the sages said that this word is made of two parts: chashmal, itim chashot, times of silence; itim mamalodot, times of speaking. Which is interesting because really electricity is like that. Electricity is pulses, where it's silent and then moves. Silent moves. Right. Exactly. So this word, so chashmal, electricity, silence and speaking. Sometimes silent. V'jar dashu od, and then the sages said further, chayot eish mamalod, and the Gemara Chagiga, they say that this is referring to that this chashmal were these angelic beings that would speak words of fire. They were made of fire, and their words were made of fire. And he's saying that this is referring to say that the main rectification of speech is through being silent at first, like a mute cannot open his mouth. Just sit there with yearning for and great desire for Hashem, and have compassion on himself. In other words, like sit there and look at yourself. My goodness, this Moshe, Hashem is sitting here, and he wants so much to speak to you. This Moshe, I found that's a really amazing piece. It opens up my heart. When I talk about myself in the third person to Hashem, I have Rachmanis on myself. And I tell Hashem, this Moshe guy, he's a good guy, Hashem. He wants to come close to you, please. And it's a real powerful heart opener for me. So to sit with yearning and sit with compassion on yourself. Because here you are. If you think about it, it's not that hard to do. You're sitting here, and you're really, and you've taken your time from your busy schedule, trying to follow this piece of advice. You're sitting there trying to come to a relationship with Hashem, and it's not happening. So you have to think, Hashem, look at this poor Moshe. He's sitting here before you. Come on. I have tremendous compassion. Please have compassion. Fill his mouth with words. Let him have a relationship with you. Because every person who really is present with himself or herself knows in the depth of their own being, how great is a pity that's on them each and every moment. How hard it is to be in this world. How difficult life can be. And he says, this causes a rousal of Hashem's compassion for you. And then, suddenly, Hashem, because Hashem had Rachmanis on you, suddenly you're able to start chirping. You're like little words, what? And Hashem, and you're great, and I want you. And the words start to come out a little bit. You're actually saying them a little bit. And l'daber kitzat, and you're speaking a little bit. In the aspect of me'afar imratech tzif. From the dust, your speech will chirp. In other words, so it's coming out of this dust, this nothing place where you can't speak. And then Hashem starts to have Rahmanas on you. And you're able to think of a word to say. And another word. It's like a chirp. It comes out like a word. Oh, there's a word. That's what I want to say. Hashem, I want. I'm looking. Please. And then they start to come out. Burning words like burning coals. In the aspect of the fiery angels that are emerging from your mouth. And that's a beautiful visual for yourself too. Visualize these things. They're amazing experiences. I once asked a friend of mine that was from the 60s that I heard this thing dropping acid, right? So I asked my friend that had done this a lot, do you think I should try that? And he said, Moshe, you're tripping all the time. So yes, I don't know, but this is the type of thing that for whatever reason Hashem gave me a gift that I see this, and I'm encouraging. Visualize these things. Visualize fire angels coming in. They're real. It's not even. They understand it. These things are happening. We just don't see them. But if we visualize them, we start to get a glimpse of the feelings associated with it, and it opens us up. And then from this speech that finally opens up like burning coals, then he merits to draw close to the Kedusha and to the aspect of receiving the Torah in its completion. And this is what the aspect of what our sages told us in the Gemara Brachas. It says, Gemara Shabbos, right? In the Menatzpach Tzofim Amarun, that the Menatzpach, which are the 5 final letters that have a different form in Hebrew when they come at the end of a word, it says Menatzpach, these 5 letters, Tzofim Amarun. The Tzofim were the prophets. In other words, they were the prophets were the ones who came down and told us of the existence of these 5 final letters. Because if you learn the Kitvei Arizal, it talks about there's 5 different powers of Gevura and also 5 different powers of Chesed that come into the world, and these 5 letters are the aspect of the spiritual root of these 5 letters is these 5 aspects of Gevura, of power, Shehem B'chinan Eish, which is the aspect of fire. Right? And these 5 letters, if you see that there's 5 places in the mouth from which we make words, right? So it's the lips, the teeth, the tongue, the palate, and lips, teeth, tongue, palate. Come on, and the throat, right? So that's the 5 letters. Me, not spach. Me is the lips. N is the tongue on the teeth. Is the air blowing through the teeth. The teeth is the main thing there. P, the menatzpach, it's p. Oh, right, because you got the 5. It's not the 5. There are 5 places. I'm talking about something else. Those are the 5 places, but there's also 5 different ways that the letter, 5 different types of letters. And the m is one where it's just the vocalization through the lips, right? P is where it's just air through the lips. N is where it's tongue and vocalization against the teeth. Ts is where it's just the tongue and just the air through the teeth. And ch is the in the throat, and so that's what we have these five letters. So that's how, and that's our prayers are formed from all of those 5 places and 5 types of letters that come out of our mouth. Those are the absolute 5 places of root of all of the words of prayer. So this is the aspect of the words, the fiery words that come out like burning coals. And you merit this how? We're going to review it. We're going to hear it again. By being silent at first, and hoping and looking and raising your eyes up and desiring and waiting for Hashem's chesed. In the aspect, V'ani b'Hashem atzapeh. In the aspect of what it says, V'ani b'Hashem atzapeh, ochila lelekai yishi. In the aspect of I will hope to Hashem, it's from Micha. I will hope to Hashem, and I will, ochila is also a type of hope. And I will long for, yearn for, hope towards the God of my salvation. Bechinat tov v'yachil v'dumam l'tshuat Hashem. In the aspect of goodness and hoping and silence for the salvation of Hashem. Al yedei zeh davka zochin l'shleimus hadiburim. And it's through this process of, again, of sitting silently and waiting and hoping and yearning and thinking all these thoughts about how far I am and I want words and I don't have the ability and I'm waiting for you to give me words, that causes an ability of shleimus and diburim, that you receive to merit to have complete speech. And this is also the aspect of ein omer ve'ein divarim. I have no words, there's no speaker and there's no words. Because really, understand that. See, I'm speaking right now, right? And I'm speaking words. But really, there's no speaker. I'm nothing but the manifestation of Hashem's will. And the words are nothing but the manifestation of the way that light comes into the world in the forms of ideas and words and communication. So on a certain level of truth, we know that Hashem created the world, and it's His desire that we exist and that I have existence and that I'm certainly speaking words right now. But equally true, we've talked about this, that there's a paradox that also 100% words, 100% true, is that I don't exist, there's no speaker, there's no words, they're just Hashem's manifestation of His will. And that's the aspect. So when I don't exist and there's no words, all there is Hashem, and I'm waiting for Him to give me words. That's the aspect of the silence and the concealment of speech. But by hoping and yearning, in all the aspect of in all the earth, it went out their kav, their line, milshon kivui, from the aspect of kav, meaning from hoping, right? The kav is a kav is a line, is a connection, right? But that's the idea, is that you're making yourself like a connection point as opposed to having an existence. You're being silent and just waiting for Hashem to broadcast the words through you. And that's the kivui, that's the hoping, v'yichul l'chazdei Hashem, and desiring, for learning, waiting for the chesed of Hashem, His kindness. And this is the essence. So through the ends of the world, He fills them. He filled them up, right? So we sat there empty, and Hashem filled us with words. This is also a reason we have to know that Hashem created this as an intrinsic property we find every single time, because in the foundational way that Hashem created the world, He created darkness first before He showed the light. He said in the beginning, He said Yehi Or, but first that Hashem made that there was Koshech al Pnei Tehom. Right? So He said, so Hashem created this darkness, and then allowed the light. That's in the Arizal. That's where Hashem made the empty space, the darkness, and then drew the light in. וזה גם בחינת מה sorry. כי בחושך הוא בחינת חשכת הדת, because the word choshech is the aspect of darkening of knowledge, v'heder adibur, a darkening of awareness. Not dat means actually, the dat is to know something, but in this case, when we talk about dat, we're talking about the moment-to-moment awareness of Hashem's presence, and so the aspect of darkness of that, and a heder adibur, and we can't feel Hashem's presence, and we can't speak. And this is the aspect of the quiet that we have to do that comes before the speaking. The aspect of chashmal, silent and then speaking. Because the nighttime is the time of yearning and desiring and longing for Hashem. And the aspect of what David HaMelech said, Al mishkavi b'leilot bikashti et ava nafshi. I'm sorry, is that singer Shir Shirim, isn't it? Yes, it's Shir Shirim. That's Shlomo Melech said that. On my bed at night, I requested the love of my soul. That reminds us of another place you can do this. Very, very good to do this when you lie down in bed. And if you're worried you're going to fall asleep, do what I just said before. Tell Hashem, I'm here, I'm lying in bed, I'm before you, I'm lying before you, and I desire a relationship. And again, this is not words necessarily, you're just thinking this. And Hashem, please give me the merit to just stay awake for a little while so that I can talk to you. And have that as a thought. And then you want to add a little bit of power to it, make it a groan. You're lying there in bed. And you groan because you want to stay awake. You want to fall asleep right away. You want to talk to Hashem, but you don't have words. It's too hard. You're tired. You're ready to fall asleep. So you groan a little bit, and you stay with it. I'm sorry. In the aspect of what David HaMelech said, I will remember my melody at night, and with my heart I will converse. And then what happens is, because of this, you get illumination of day. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it turns to day, but in your awareness, in your words, it's like daylight. All of a sudden, you have the words to speak. Which is the completion of speech. That those words of speech, of being able to speak truth to Hashem, is the main manifestation of light. In the aspect of the opening of your words will illuminate. The opening of your words will be illuminated. Now we have reached about halfway through this section, this particular chapter, and it seems that it might be a good time to take a pause. I think that I feel our it's been a lot of light, a lot of good, and it needs to be digested. So let's pause there, and I bless us all to be able to remember to try to do this and to actually do it, to actually make efforts to do this. Sit there and wait for Hashem, and experience Gachle Eish, and may Hashem give us all that experience, because as I said, it is such an amazing and delicious experience. And I bless everyone of Klal Yisrael and myself that we should be zocheh to these types of experiences with Kadosh Baruch Hu frequently, and in so doing we'll draw the holiness of Torah to ourselves, and we'll be able to do tshuva shlema and illuminate the world with goodness, and Mashiach will be revealed. Ken Yiratzon B'Karov.